So we've now wandered into Mike's second big lie. He claims that holistic management doesn't reverse desertification. This is an essential point, but I wanted to point it out. In his video, Mike says, quote, "Surprised the rich white guy in Africa can afford to give his cows water, effectively irrigating his land." He's talking about pictures Allan has of his river running and then a nearby river not running. So just stop and think about that for a while. Giving his cows water, irrigating his land. So Mike's saying that Allan's river is running because his cows are peeing more. I just thought that was kind of funny, but let's move on. Oh, and if you doubt the before and after photos that Allan showed in his TED Talk, why not go see it for yourself? Many people have and documented it on YouTube or in articles, but Allan encourages anyone to come and see the Africa Center for Holistic Management, where a lot of those pictures were taken, and he'll even help you with travel accommodations. Okay, according to Mike, the bottom line, the great failing of holistic management is apparently that cattle need water in the desert. Yes, of course they do. I'm not going to dispute that. But the amount of water they need is tiny compared to the benefits they provide. Let me read a short excerpt from my book called Letter to a Vegetarian Nation, which explains this aspect of using livestock in deserts. As livestock improve the water cycles in brittle environments, increased soil infiltration, decreased runoff, decreased evaporation, etc., they will actually be directly contributing to the replenishing of the underground water in that area. How much? A typical runoff percentage for a desertified landscape is 80%, which means that 80% of the rain that falls does not enter the soil, and so does not have any chance to replenish aquifers. In just a few years, properly managed livestock can easily reduce that runoff percentage to 50% or lower. That is a 30% difference. What happens if we get a typical rainfall event in which 1 inch of water falls? A 1 inch rainfall drops 100,000 liters or 26,000 gallons of water per acre. 30% of that is 30,000 liters or 8,000 gallons. So by having properly managed livestock on the land, we can easily put 30,000 liters of water into the ground per acre every time it rains. The majority of that will be used by growing plants, which is a good thing, but some of it will also go to replenish underground aquifers. And what about the drinking water requirements? Livestock don't drink very much. Ranchers in dry areas typically recommend 60 liters per cow per day of drinking water. In a typical arid environment, a holistic rancher might need about 12 acres to feed 1 cow for a year. So that's a 1/12 of a cow per acre, which is 5 liters per acre of water required, of drinking water required for the livestock. If there's no surface water available, the rancher will have to pump that up from an underground aquifer. But let's compare that to the most common alternative method for restoring brittle environments, which is planting trees, and which is no doubt what Mike the Vegan advocates. One of the most water-efficient crop-producing trees for drylands is Moringa, at 320 trees per acre, which is the recommended density. Each acre of Moringa plantation requires 34.5 liters per day of irrigation if the area already receives 11 inches of rainfall, which is quite high for a dry environment. So, even when totally discounting the water storage component of livestock, properly managed livestock are 7 times more water efficient than planting native desert trees, which is one of the most widely promoted techniques for regenerating drylands. I have references to back all that up in my book. Don't worry, it's only $5 and it's well worth it. Now, Mike's next statement is, it is extremely important to note that if you're trying to replace all of the meat we eat now with grass-fed meat, there would not be enough room on the earth. I have no idea where Mike got that information, but I can assure you it's completely wrong. If Mike can provide his source, I'd be happy to respond in a future video. In my book, for example, I've done a rough calculation of the minimum numbers of cattle needed in just North America in order to sustain our food production in the long term and in order to maintain the health of our brittle ecosystems. And it turns out we probably actually need more cattle than we currently have in North America. Now, of course, we need to get the cattle out of the feedlots first, and then we need to get everyone managing holistically. I should say that. But the statement that there's not enough room on the earth to produce all the meat we currently consume is definitely not true. I'm going to follow Mike's example at this point and split my response video into 2 parts. Thanks for listening. My rebuttal of part 2 of Mike's video, in which I will talk about climate change, veganic agriculture, killing animals, and the necessity of large herbivores, will be coming soon. Thanks for listening.